Okay, so we've got each of our individual tracks exported now, and if we remember our original BPM, make sure our new session is set to 129, and you'll see here I have loaded a new template. It's called Studer A800, and it basically has the UAD tape emulation on each channel. So basically it's like having a 16 track multi-tape here, and what I do is I find the folder with all the tracks in. Here we go, and there we have, I recorded two different selections here, and it's the ones with the asterisks that I actually need. There we go, that's better. Right, so what I'm going to do now is drag each of these tracks in, and one of the things we don't need the side chain here, so I can get rid of that. And Ableton also creates a sort of mix of everything. We don't want that. I need to do that for both these sections here, so I'm just doing a bit of housekeeping so I don't get totally lost. What I did two lots of runs, some with the automation slightly different, but I think I'm pretty happy with the ones with the asterisks all here, so we'll go for that. Right, so the first thing we have here obviously is we want our kick top. We go, and this is simply what we do. We drag them in and we're going to pass them through the tape emulation just as if we were recording to a real analog multi-track tape recorder. So we have our kick and bass, and I try and do this in a certain order. Then we have our percussion, so we have our hi-hats and we have our clap. We'll finish off with our shaker and ride, and then we get down to the non-bass musical parts. So we have our drone, and then we have our stab and our sign beats outro there, and you'll see those are all being imported. Now what I do, the way the Studer 800 works, very clever. You open this up and you can gang all the controls. So what I change here will also affect the plugin on each of these others here. And one thing I can also do to save a bit of CPU is get rid of those, because I'm not using those. So just using 10 tracks here. So yeah, one of the first things I like to do, I like to put the gang controls on, so it will change it for the whole lot, and turn the noise emulation off. That's one thing I don't miss from the true analog days, is the noise floor. So get rid of that. And what we have here, if I go into the presets, and I use these ultra linear presets, which basically are as clean as possible, and they will just add some nice proper tape saturation if you push it hard enough, or you can just get a nice kind of texture. The best thing about analog tape is that it glues everything together in a really natural way, and I think it works particularly well to glue drums together, especially digital drums, and we've been using all software here, so I think it's going to be very handy. It also adds an incredible punch in the low end for me. So we're going to take these tracks one at a time, and you're probably going to watch this and think this is quite time consuming, but believe me, it's really worth doing. So there we have our top kick sound. We open the Studer, so I'll make sure now I'm going to turn all the gang controls off, so now we're just going to affect each one differently. And what I like to do is just raise the input and take it up, because what you'll see here, these UAD plugins like to see like a -18 RMS, which translates to about -6 dB on the peaks, And you can see here I've trimmed that to -18 on here, and you can see it's quite a conservative level, and that's mirrored here on the tape. But what I want to do here is drive it into the tape to get some of that tape sound. It's not going to be too crazy because we've got an ultra linear preset, so it's as clean as you can possibly get with tape. But I'm going to drive that, and it just adds a bit of rawness. It's not just raising the gain, it really is adding some rawness. If you remember the tutorial I did where we compared this plugin and other tape emulations without the gain increase to fool us, you could hear how much it was very subtle, but you could hear it definitely making a difference when you cumulatively listen to all the tracks together. So that's perfect for our kick. And then here we have our sub sound, and you can see that's already quite a powerful signal. Now that is going to sound fantastic. Now these sounds are quite tricky because once you put the gain right up, you see they don't reach 0 dB. So just beware, the level's going to get really loud because I still like to saturate these percussive sounds. I'm going to turn it down a bit to save my ears. But if we whack that up, you'll see I'm not getting anywhere near into the kind of area where you're going to get the real artifacts of the tape. So here we use our VU trim here and start bringing it up. You'll see how it starts smearing it. You see there we're over the peak limit, so we back off there. And it's finding that balance to where you lose the transient. That's probably when you've gone too far with the tape effect. So there, you're losing it there, it's softening it. There you go, so back it off there, and that's perfect for me. And so the clap, again, that's quite a low sound, but the clap should get up to a peak. There we go. Let's just make sure we haven't gone too low. There we go, it's nicely into the reds there, so just back it off. Then we have our shaker, and again this is going to be the same, even. That's pretty good actually. If we take it right into tape saturation area, it's quite nice actually. It's kind of softening the attack, and considering we've got some hard 16ths in there, that's not too much of a problem. So the ride here. There we go, we have our drone sound here. Now you can hear some distortion there. So let's back it off. Obviously pushing it too much. That's fine. With pads and sounds like this kind of sound with a lot of frequency information, it really is easy to get some distortion using this tape plugin if you push it too much. So you have to really listen out, make sure you don't push it too hard. With drums it gets nice and to have that kind of crunch, but if you push these sounds too much, it gets a bit too grungy and you'll hear some sort of ripping distortion sounds, but this actually is holding up pretty well. If you compare that without, I really like that actually. It's given it a grungy kind of feel. So this is a very clean sound, so hopefully this tape will roughen it up a bit. That's nice. It's still clean, but it's being given that nice kind of rounded edge. Okay, let's do the next process, which is simply to export all these exactly how we did before. So I'll just quickly do that, and then I'll import them into the final mix template.
If you like this course, why not head over to sonicacademy.com, where we have hundreds of complete track builds in every genre imaginable, including all the project files and samples. You'll also find tutorials on plugins and synths, mixing and mastering, over 250 tech tips, artist interviews, along with our award-winning plugins, samples and preset packs.